how to make, or how I made, these scrapwood candle holders. Want the pair? Stay tuned and I'll let you know how you can get them. Let's get into it. I started with a piece of walnut scrapwood cut from the modern coffee table built just a few weeks ago. Using a circle cutting jig and router, I cut a circumference roughly 1.5 inches from the outer edge. It took many passes to achieve a depth just above the bottom surface. I then flipped the cut piece over and finished cutting the interior circle out in a final pass with the router. After that, I took the circle to the table saw and cut it in half. Then, to tidy up the surface, I used a guide and trimming bit.
Maybe someday when I've grown older, I can see it all clear from above, looking back on it all. Maybe I can see what was broken. Ooh, but it's a lonely calling.
Once I had a nice even semicircle, I used a round over bit to round over all the edges. With the bases roughed out, I got to work making the blanks for the candle settings. I again used some scrap walnut and a laminated piece comprised of maple, cherry, and walnut. Then glued the roughly 3.5-inch squares together for the blank.
Ooh, I'm just a human in motion. Yeah,
Once cured, I found center.
for someone like you.
Then, for the first one, set up the blank on the lathe and began cutting away the squared corners. I ran into some problems with how I went about shaping the first candle setting, which we'll go through in just a minute.
When I've grown older,
With the base cylinder in good shape, for the first one, I kept the lathe setting and began shaping the bowl shape at the top and honing out the stem towards the bottom.
maybe I can see what was broken. Ooh, but it's a lonely calling. Yeah, it's a lonely calling.
Once satisfied with the general shape, I used a parting tool to cut the piece from the anchoring bits left of the blank. Then attempted to hone the end a bit more and blew apart the cut piece. So I left out the candle setting stem for now to carve out the interior of the bowl before gluing the two pieces back together again. For the second one, I took a different approach. I used the table saw to cut away the 90-degree corners first to make quicker work of shaping at the lathe. Then again honed a base cylinder, but this time swap the turning setting to hollow out the interior of the bowl and pin first. Then, keeping it in the same clamp, started turning the outside of the bowl and top part of the stem. Happy with the shape, I used the bandsaw to cut the bowl and top of the stem away from the rest of the blank. Then reposition the rest of the blank and carve the bottom part of the candle setting stem. Doing this in two pieces was not my ideal setup, but I didn't want to risk tossing another stem. I'm betting sharper cutters would have helped keep the cut piece from separating on the lathe, but I'm also super interested in hearing your suggestions for avoiding that kind of blowout. With the stem to size, I cut away the excess anchoring pieces of the blank. Then, to mirror the first one, hone the bottom of the stem. To connect the bowl and stem, I simply use super glue and accelerator. Before returning the completed piece to the lathe a final time to tidy up the seam. With the candle settings done, I took the bases to the drill press to clear a recess for the settings to sit in. After that, it was time for a finishing level sand down. Then turn to finishing. I started with a base layer of tung oil, letting it cure fully before finalizing with the top coat of poly. And that's a wrap. I thought it'd be fun to try a Patreon raffle for these, so join us over on the Patreon page, link in the description, to not only be entered to win this snazzy duo, but also get more behind the scenes content and HWD goodies. Next time, I make a dovetailed humidor using some of this beautiful air-dried red oak. Until next time.